Hey, this is Not the Girl Next Door show, and I have special guests today. I have Static Cycle with us today. How are you doing?
Spectacular. I'm displaced, though. Nashville had a bunch of power outages, so I'm not home
Oh, no.
in the middle of this pandemic. Yeah, it's a little crazy.
So, for the listeners, tell us a little bit about the band, where you're from, what kind of music you guys are vibing, maybe some of your musical influence. Break it down for everybody.
All right. We are from Alaska. Born and raised up there in the cold state. We're now in Nashville because Alaska's a bit of an island musically, so we had to move to one of the big cities. And we play rock and roll, our version of rock and roll. So that's hard rock. It's got some R&B and hip-hop influences in it, but at the core of it, it's, good old rebellious rock and roll.
So how did the band get together? How did you guys all meet? How did you guys decide to do the kind of music you were doing? Are there some bands that influenced who your style is, or how your style is now? Just a roundabout, tell everybody how the story began.
Yeah, of course. So we grew up with everything from Breaking Benjamin, Chevelle. Those are a couple of my influences specifically. Love all that rock in the 2000s, and so I grew up playing that and trying to emulate it, and that came out in the songwriting, and I write most of the songs initially myself on guitar, vocal, just like that, so that kind of shaped the sound. And once I moved to Nashville about 4 or 5 years ago, I met Andy here, and he plays keys and guitar, and he's the other primary writer in the band. And we met Lester maybe a year or two after that, and he's a drummer, and he kills. He actually tours full time. He's Kelly Clarkson's drummer, but he's a rock guy at heart, a hard rock guy, and he shreds on the kit. So yeah, that's how the band came to be, and we started writing, finally starting to put music out, getting ready to tour as soon as the world opened back up.
Well, you talked about a little bit what my next question was. How does producing work for you guys? Do you guys decide to sit down and make a song? Does it kind of a spur of the moment thing sometimes, or is it all mix of above? How does it work? Because I know you talked about writing, you talked about everybody in the band, like their role. Do you guys just get together and it's just, voila, we have music? Or how does that work for you guys?
Yeah, sometimes it's quick. Our first single, Box, is, I sat down with a guitar after a hard breakup, and I wrote that song quickly, probably in an hour or two. And sometimes it's a collaborative effort where, Andy will send in a guitar lick, whatever it is. And from there, once we craft the song on our side, we've worked with quite a few different producers. So we'll either pop over to LA, or one producer we work with is in Minneapolis, whatever it might be, or we'll throw files back and forth. But the songwriting itself usually starts either with me and a guitar or a piano, and or Andy with a guitar and piano. Sometimes it's done interactively together, but for me, especially on the lyric side, they're so personal and intimate that's I gotta hide away and do that myself normally.
Well, then that kind of plays into my question I was going to ask you. So if those lyrics, which I'm sure there's sometimes things that have happened to you, there's sometimes things that happen to others. When you get on stage and you perform live, how does that feel to bring up those emotions again? Or do you have to shut it off? Because I know some lead singers that I've talked to before, they tell me that they can't perform some songs. They want it to be authentic. Like, they want the fans to feel how they felt, and when they go up to perform it again, they've shut that part of them off. How does it feel when you have to do that?
That's a great question. Some songs are really, really tough to get through. We have not performed a song live, but one of my best friends, and his kid was like a little brother to me. His kid dropped dead. We lost him in gym class one day when he was really, really young.
And oh my goodness.
I wrote this, it's a terrible tragedy. I wrote this beautiful song, which his dad, my friend, asked me to write. He said, I don't care when it is, I don't care what it's about, but will you write a song for Ian? And I did, and that song I still have never performed live. And that one, at least the first few times, I'm guessing will be pretty tough, pretty chaotic for me to get through. Over time, eventually the song changes and transforms, in my mind at least, and eventually it turns into more of a performance. But it depends on the song. So a song like that, it's called Stay, it'll be on the record. I'll probably just never be able to sing that one and fully detach from the emotion, why that song was written.
And I'm sure it's all about complete interpretation, too, because, lyrics can mean one thing to one person and something to another person, even if it's obvious and blatant. So I guess on the other flip side of that, how do you feel when you see fans singing those lyrics that, you're putting a lot of emotion into, and they're singing it back to you in the crowd and belting it out and putting all their emotions into it? How does that make you feel to see that as well?
It's a very weird feeling, because when I initially started playing music, it wasn't to spread the music, gain popularity, anything like that. The songs were very intimate and personal, and when you start to share them with people, it's a really vulnerable, tough experience, because there's good and bad feedback, and a lot of times people will misinterpret what you say. And eventually I got to a very comfortable and peaceful place where I realized that's a very important part of art, is to put it out and then let people have their own experiences around it. And we've had a song that somebody who runs a teen suicide prevention center uses for therapy, and some of the kids will listen to it right before, if they're having suicidal thoughts or whatever it is. And when I wrote the song, I didn't have that anything like that. Well, nothing like that was intended behind it. There's pain behind the song and stuff like that, and some self-destruction, but nothing that I thought could be used as a tool to, help kids when they're in those moments. And it turned into something. So there's beautiful things that come from it, and you just kind of got to set it free when you write it. You just got to let it out and see what happens.
I think you put that perfectly, and I've talked about that before, that I love music because it's an art, and it's meant to make you feel. It can make one person feel angry, it can make another person feel happy, it can make another person feel sad, and it is all about the interpretation. And I just read something from Josh from Bad Flower, who said, when he wrote Ghost, he was feeling pretty suicidal, and now it means totally something different to him. Like you said, it's changed, and he doesn't feel like that anymore, and he likes where he's came after all this time. So I believe it is complete interpretation and a complete art form of everything. But no matter what, it's meant to make you feel, and can make you feel anything positive or anything negative. But it's worth it all.
No, that's perfect. Like, yeah, that's a brilliant way to say it too. And it is weird, like Josh was talking about. Once you evolve past the song too, that's a weird experience, because if you get on stage, you're having to push yourself back into the past and relive something that could have been very traumatic.
Definitely. But like you said, it plays, it can play another role to, suicide prevention. It obviously plays a great role, helping people when they're going through something, even if that wasn't your intention. And as I looked through all your videos that I saw on YouTube, I have questions, because, so let's talk about, I'm a big MTV, when MTV used to be MTV playing music videos kind of person. I love music videos, I love watching them, and I could spend hours on YouTube. So let's talk about your series of anime, and the latest was Wolf, and what made you decide? Let's tell the story about the videos and the songs and the 6-part series and the anime and the videos, which I think is amazing, by the way. Let's talk about the story that we're telling here with the videos and what we're doing with this 6-part series of videos.
Okay, so this is big for us. So in being a rock fan, I saw the live performance. I promise this is all going to make sense. I saw the live performance of some of the, older established veteran rock bands not evolve. Getting up on stage and just playing your instruments in front of a crowd, there's still something beautiful and special about that in that environment. But rock itself as a genre, I felt the live experience needed to take the next step forward. So about 4 or 5 years ago, we started creating this show, this immersive experience. And I describe it as a hybrid between Cirque du Soleil and a Broadway show. And we bring in all this crazy tech, and we're even pumping scent into the building, and then we still have raw rock and roll with that.
Wow, so that's amazing.
This whole it's I'll send you a clip. It's not public yet, but I'll send you a clip so you can see we have been working so hard to bring this to music, because I think it's the next evolution, and there's a beautiful crafted storyline. So this show has characters, and how this parlays back into the videos is the show has, the showman, there's a lightbox character, there's the wolf, which represents necessary evil, and he can possess different people. These are characters that have big roles in the live show. And so these anime videos, which, by the way, are made 100% out of paper by hand.
Oh, wow.
It's insane, and he does stop motion with it, but he built everything. So he built a full city for Wolf. You can see in that one. And he put some special effects and stuff over top of it, but he's literally shooting paper models, stop motion. It's outstanding. So the videos describe some of these characters. They start to tell some of the storylines that you'll see in the live show. It's all done in an abstract way with the 6-part series videos, but when people see the live show, it's going to be unlike anything they've ever experienced. I mean, it's so good. We've put so much work into it.
That sounds like I like to be entertained. I like thematics and drama, and I love all of that when I go to a live show, and I can't wait to see it. That sounds absolutely amazing, and it seems like it would be perfect timing, especially when everybody's allowed to see concerts again, to have such an explosion, like that people haven't seen before, and people are vying to go to concerts again, and just waiting. So
yes, we are desperately waiting because we were ready. As soon as we were supposed to be touring now, but we were ready to launch this thing. We've been waiting years and years, so now you can't imagine how antsy we are.
Oh, I bet.
This new experience that we've sunk, all of our time and money into, and we're just waiting. We're ready, though. As soon as they tell us go, we'll be, we're ready.
So how do you feel about touring? How is touring? Is it more of the end game? Not the end game saying it's all done. This is what we strive for, but the end game as far as you worked your butts off all however long before a tour, but it's grueling. No matter how it's done, it's very grueling. How has tours worked in the past? How have you felt? Do you have any crazy tour stories to tell us that have happened while you were out performing live?
Yeah, we have really good stories. But since we're still considered kind of, we've had some great success recently, but we're still considered a baby band, I guess we'd say. We're a newer band to most of the rock world. So we went out and we did some runs with a band called Drowning Pool and Pop Evil and Red Jumpsuit Apparatus. So we played with some really good. We did a little thing with Shinedown, stuff like that. So we were road warriors for a little bit. For about a year and a half, I think we played, I think it was something like 300 shows in a year and a half or something. It was in.
Oh, wow.
And so we were out almost every day. New city. At that time, we were hustling around in a van and doing our best. But touring is grueling when you have families, especially.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm not married, but the other two guys in the band, they have wife and kids, and it's tough on them. But they love it and want to share the music so much that it's worth it. But it's a balance. Sometimes they'll bring families on the road, and sometimes they won't. It just depends, and it's all going to be different now once stuff opens back up. I think there's going to be less dates. There's going to be less people allowed in the venues, things like that. So we're just going to have to adapt. We might even just do a residency in LA and then a residency in Chicago and then Nashville. So we'll do 2 weeks in one city or something like that.
Right.
Not sure yet. Yeah.
I think I've talked to a lot of people about, I know how I feel, I know how they feel. It's going to be scary when it first opens back up. I think people are going to be apprehensive about going. Like, I know I would be, definitely, because I know somebody's like, oh, we could just wear a mask. Well, when you're at a concert, you're close quarters with the person next to you, so you're touching them anyway and not even trying to, so it wouldn't matter if you wore a mask or not because their body is right next to you. I'm sure it may... Right. But, everybody's amped up and ready to go, and I've talked to so many people that's like, yeah. Well, I hope their enthusiasm stays, a year from now, because I always hate to see it. I hate to see, I get frustrated, especially, I'm about 2.5 hours south of Chicago. I'm in Illinois, and down here, we're close to Champaign, close to a college town, and I've talked about this before, but the music, we'll say, industry or bands themselves, 20 years ago, yes, I'm dating myself, but 20 years ago, you could go to a show for a smaller band, and it would still sell out. Now, like bigger bands, I can tell you 10 years came to a venue around here, and there probably wasn't even 50 people at the show. So, that just kind of tells you, but cover bands are just, those are the sellout shows. So, I guess my point is I hope people's enthusiasm stays a year from now, or whenever we get to go back a year from then, and they appreciate music as much as they do.
I hope so too. So growing up in Alaska, we had an amazing music culture and community, and so I didn't realize until I left Alaska. I was naive. I assumed everybody loved music and that it was a cultural thing, and there was support, and you go into some of these cities, and LA is wonderful for a lot of reasons, but LA is spoiled with music, and when you come in and play in cities like that, more people are being wallflowers and on their phone and more about the scene than they are the music. That breaks my heart. But
me too.
But there are still so many great markets where people really, really do love rock, which is great. But I had one idea. Sorry, I have to rant about this because you said when we open up, it's going to be very different, even shoulder to shoulder. We're still going to try if we can. We wanted to do it very early on when all the COVID stuff hit, but we wanted to do one of our shows where everyone was given a hazmat suit with their ticket purchase.
Oh my goodness.
How cool would that be, though? If we could all get in and just actually, rally around and, take off your hazmat suit, get sprayed on the way out. It'd be great.
That would make for an amazing video. That would make for something amazing, for somebody to film, from the stage. That would be quite the theme.
It really would. I wonder if we should just see. If we can get...
I'm sure you could.
We need somebody's approval. If the Nashville mayor lets us, throw a show where we have, 100 or 200 people in hazmat suits, we can be the first rock show back.
There you go. That would be beautiful for PR, because it would bring so many aspects. People who never heard of you before, would be like, yeah. Find the state.
You're
find
right.
the state.
I don't think about the PR side, but you're right. But my mind's just like, we could all get back to rock. But that probably would be a good story.
I'm sure it would.
Yeah.
So tentatively, and I say that because obviously what we've been talking about, tentatively, what can you tell us are your plans for 2020? Do you have more music coming out in your series? Do you have obviously we have plans to do live shows and a tour, but what do we have going on for the rest of the year tentatively if things get better or go in a better direction?
Absolutely. So we have a new song coming out basically every 4 to 6 weeks. Everything's done on the record. So we have a song called Power. Wolf just released, so people should listen to that one if they haven't. And that song's going to go to radio. We think that one is one of the better songs on the record. And then, let's see, in 2 Fridays, on the 22nd, Power is going to come out. And like a month after that, we'll have more singles, more videos, all that stuff. And then the full record comes out in September, in the fall. And that's hopefully when the live show will launch, this full live show, if it can. But yeah.
That would be perfect timing. Now, are each one of the songs that are released a part in that video, 6-part video series? So is that the songs that make up the album that will come out, or are there more songs on it, or how will that work?
The album it'll have all 6. The 6th single will launch, and the 6th video series will launch with the entire record. And the record right now has 12 songs. It might honestly have 20 songs if we don't get out of this quarantine soon.
I'm sure.
We got like 100 songs now, so we're not going to be able to release them fast enough. But yeah.
I'm sure. I think we won't call it a problem, obviously, but I think that's what a lot of bands are running into right now, you know. They have the music and they're just ready to, blast it out. So, where can people find your music, find your merch? Do you guys have a website? Are you all over social media? Where can people find Static Cycle?
Everywhere, yeah. YouTube is best to see all the videos. And Spotify, every DSP, digital music provider's got us, so they can find us there. We are working on launching staticcycle.com in a new immersive experience as soon as we announce this show. So I'm telling you about this show, but it hasn't been announced to the world yet, so your listeners are going to get kind of a sneak peek into what it'll be like. But as we get closer to announcing the show, we're going to detail who the characters are in a cool way on the site, and we've got these crazy cool like tarot cards that are part of each character and all kinds of stuff. It's going to be fun.
Well, I'm super excited to see it. I hope that Illinois is definitely one of the stops in the show because I will definitely be front and center to see you guys, so that will be amazing. Now, do you guys have merch available too? Like, I know you said you're working on a website. Do you guys? Our listeners are huge merch people. In fact, we have a girl, Rocky Mountain Rage Kitcha. She does a shirt of the day, band of the day shirt. So we really, our listeners love the merch. So do you guys have merch right now?
We do, yeah. And we'd love to give away one for the band of the day or whatever you guys would like. But yeah, we have really cool merch stuff that represents Wolf, actually, that just launched, and we have a really cool artist that's helped out to design this line. But it's pretty cool. But it's simple right now. We just have a hoodie and a long sleeve and 2 tees. That's all we have right now.
That's fine.
Got to keep costs down.
Of course, of course. Our listeners are not picky. Trust me, they're all proud to show their band shirts every day too. So they represent. So.
Oh, I love it.
Well, thank you for taking a chance.
Let us know what you need.
Time to talk to me today, and come back anytime when you want to, talk about new music, new videos. Want to talk about the tour? Come back anytime. I appreciate it, and thank you for coming on the show.
Awesome, I will.